Hello, my loves. Stasha, the period coach here, and I'm here today to give you my pros and cons list for using sea sponges. Now, I wrote these down. I love my sea sponge. I got a sea sponge back in the day. I had a keeper, and I loved my keeper until I lost it about a year ago. And I'm very, very sad about that. But I also had a sponge. And the reason that I got a sponge was I had gotten the keeper in 1999. I'm not 1,000% sure about that, but that's where I think it was, and I'm sticking to it. So I got a keeper, and I really liked it, except that when it was lighter days and I still needed an internal thing, I didn't particularly like the keeper on lighter days. It's made of 100% renewable resource rubber. It's a little bit bigger and thicker than the cups that are coming out these days, like the Diva Cup and the Luna Cup and the Lunette, all these kinds of things. So it's bigger and it's a little bit heavier and it's thicker, and it lasted me from 1999 to 2016. So it was awesome. But it was harder to insert and much more uncomfortable to take out on light days. So I got a sea sponge for light days, and I loved it. I don't have one now. I don't use many internal methods anymore. In fact, I rather enjoy just free bleeding now, or having a cloth pad. So I really actually rather not use an internal method. But on the days that I need one, I do love a good sea sponge or a cup. So here's why I love my sea sponges. So number one is it's easy to feel when it's full. So when you use a sponge, you insert it, and as it gets full, it gets heavier and it sort of starts to slide. And a lot of women can't feel anything that's inserted up around their cervix. So things like diaphragms and cups are great because they usually cup up towards your cervix and can't really feel it. And the sponge will do the same thing. It'll go up in that area where a lot of women don't tend to have a lot of sensitivity. Now, you can get more sensitivity. Listen to Mangala's interview on yoni massage in the Red Circle Summit. Listen to a couple of the other speakers because they also talk about things like sensitivity. Using a yoni egg and using that yoni egg practice really helps with sensitivity, which is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. But a lot of us don't have sensitivity up in that area. So you don't feel things, but when the sea sponge gets full, it starts to get heavier and it starts to slide a little bit more into the area that does have a lot more sensitivity, which is kind of cool because it's getting full when you're aware of it again. And then if you have sensitivity in that area, like you've done yoni egg work or yoni massage work or just awareness methods, you can start to you can tell when it's full. So that's kind of cool because then you just pull it out when you know it's ready. It's easier to collect the blood. So if you're using blood for things like watering your plants, fertilizing your garden, perhaps ingesting, again, watch the Red Circle Summit. We get into those very taboo topics. Maybe you're just curious and you want to know. Disregard the shame that may come up. Just let the curiosity flow and go check it out. But you can actually collect the blood really easily for that. Some women use it for magic rites. Some women use it for smoothies. Some women use it to just water their plants in their gardens. No matter what you use your blood for, even if it's just to offer it to the land in hopes that we can end some of the senseless bloodshed that happens every day in our planet, you can collect the blood really easily with a sponge. I love it because when you rinse it out, you're just going to put that blood into a cup, squeeze it out, let that blood go into that water, give it a good rinse, and then reinsert, which is great. If you're on the fly, you won't be collecting the blood. It's really easy, though, to just rinse it out in the sink, squish, 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 and refresh, squeeze it out, reinsert, done. Easy peasy. I love them because they are super easy to insert and pull out. Easier than the cup, even. They're clean and environmentally sound. Just know your source, like anything else. You want to have a good, environmentally aware and conscious source. In the summit, Kimberly talks to us about all the eco-friendly alternatives to menstrual products. She does talk about the sponge, and she tells us where she gets her sources. So if you're interested in a sponge, check out Kimberly's interview in the Red Circle Summit because she talks about that. No chemicals into you. See, sponges don't need chemicals. They don't need to be processed. They don't need to be turned from one thing into another. They are just what they are. The only processing that they'll go through is being cut down to a smaller size. So, and Kimberly does talk about that, maybe ordering a large so that you can see how it feels in you. And if you want to cut it down to a smaller size, you can. No chemicals in the landfills. So in our top 5 reasons we hate disposable pads and the top 5 reasons we hate disposable tampons videos, I talked about that and all the chemicals that are involved in those. Well, there's no sponges and there's no chemicals in sponges, and they're not disposable. So, I mean, they are disposable. You can throw them away, but you're not going to throw them away after each use. So you're not putting more stuff into landfills, you're not throwing away more things, and you're not releasing more organic matter into landfills, which converts into the harmful gases for our ozone. So, no chemicals into you, no chemicals into the landfills. And then number 6 is it's a money saver. If you've watched any of these series before, you know how big I am on saving money. It's a money saver. You're going to save a lot more money by having an amazing, reusable, recyclable material. And the thing about sponges is when they may not be, maybe they start to fall apart and you don't want to use them internally anymore because they're no longer springy and absorbent and whatever. You can use them for other things, you know. Your blood is very clean. It's not this gross, dirty thing that we've all been taught. It's actually really clean. It's really amazing. And after you've used a sponge, you can always clean it out, give it a nice good, you know, you're going to want to clean it out after using it anyway. But, you know, at the end of the month, maybe you decided that it's time to retire that sponge, give it a nice good wash, give it a good clean. And then you can use it for other things. Like it can become the little grout cleaner in the shower. It can become the little makeup remover for your face. It can do a lot of things after it's done doing its sacred duty in your yoni. And then you just keep it until it literally falls apart and you're done. And there's no waste. So, hi, money saver, because now you're getting rid of other things that you were, you know, maybe using or buying things for, like the magic sponge or whatever for your grout. Well, maybe a little baking soda and the sponge that you were using can be your grout cleaner for a round or two. Save a dime there too. You know, anything that you would use a sponge for, save a dime there. We're using makeup. Yeah. So lots of things that you can use it for. And then of course, replacing tampons, disposable product that you have to buy every month, you're saving money there too. So it's a really big money saver. And just aside from the money that it saves you in buying tampons every month, you can also use it for more things. So it saves you a couple of pennies, in fact, maybe even some dimes or some quarters or some dollars. Actually, it definitely saves you more than dollars. It definitely saves you way more than that. So yeah, pick up a sponge, see what you like. Here's my cons list for sponges. Sneezing. It's my one and only con for sponges. Sneezing. If your sponge is full and you sneeze, you're going to want to be wearing a cloth pad or a set of period panties because you will squeeze. And it is a sponge. So one of the benefits of knowing your body and knowing your flow and knowing how things feel is that you can actually take the sponge out and squeeze it out so that if you do sneeze, it's not a big deal. But if you do sneeze and your sponge is full, you will leave a mark. So if you're particularly high in allergy season, make sure that you're taking your sponge out regularly and squeezing it out and reinserting. If you are use a cup, maybe just use your cup if you are high into allergy season instead of your sponge, or just use it for light days like I do. Or make sure you have on a backup, like a cloth pad or a set of period panties, because accidents will happen. So there you go. Those are my pros and cons. Obviously, the pros far outweigh the cons, and there are solutions to every problem. So like everything else, join our Facebook group if you need more solutions. Check out the Red Circle Summit. Click the link to find out more, and let's dive into all of these amazing topics. I'll see you on the inside.